Has God ever done something drastic in your life to get your attention? Well, that has happened to me twice. My name is Pam, and I'm from Colorado, but I am currently living in Prague in the Czech Republic. I was raised in the Catholic Church. However, it didn't really have any meaning to me. To me, it just seemed like a set of rules that I had no desire to follow and really saw no reason to follow. And when I left home, I never even thought of going to church. What I had done in the meantime, however, is I had adopted my own God, the God of intellectualism. And I had decided to use my brain to help me to plan my life and to solve all of life's problems. And that was the state that I was in when God worked all things together to bring me into a full knowledge of Him and His presence. I joined the Peace Corps in 1992, and I was placed in a village in the mountains of the Andes in Bolivia. I was 12 hours away from the nearest town, and because I spoke Spanish when I arrived in Bolivia, they taught me the native Incan language of Quechua. And so in this village, Quechua was the main language, and I occasionally got to hear some Spanish, but I never got to hear English. And it was that desire to hear my native tongue that drove me to buy a shortwave radio so that I could get transmissions from around the world. And every morning I had a 1-hour window of English. It just happened to be Christian teaching. And I had never heard a preacher before. And the authentic and hope-filled messages really spoke to my heart. And I had been given a Bible as a going away present. And between reading that Bible and hearing those preachers, I really started to understand the presence of God and the authenticity of God. I started to doubt my own God of intellectualism. I started to doubt the education that I had come to fully depend upon for resolving all of life's issues. And God was so gracious to me. He slowly removed my supports and replaced them with Himself. This happened in complete isolation. I had no books except for my Bible. I had no mentors, and I had, of course, no internet at that time. And even if there was such a thing as the internet, I had no electricity. So it was just me and God having conversations. I would ask Him questions. Using my vast education, I would question Him about creation, about virgin birth, about all of those things that He would use the Christian teachers on the radio to answer specific questions that I would have. And just imagine how faith building that is, to talk to God one day about an issue, and then the next day I turn on the radio and the preacher is addressing that same issue. I had to be in complete isolation for Him to show me that when I had only Him, I needed only Him. One day, while I was reading my Bible, I suddenly stopped and I looked up and I said, I believe this. And for me, it had always been an all or nothing proposition. Either it was all true, as they said, or none of it was true. It was just a bunch of feel-good stories. And in that moment, I just felt such peace to finally know that I no longer had to strive to understand everything, that all I needed to know was that God was real and He had shown Himself to me in my isolation. Currently, I am teaching English in Prague in the Czech Republic, and God is once again using isolation to draw me closer to Him. When I arrived in the Czech Republic, I did not have a job. I was able to find one rather quickly. However, I cannot get paid legally until my visa is approved. So while going through the process of approving my visa, the coronavirus hit and the government shut down, and therefore my visa processing was shut down. So I found myself stranded in a country where I did not speak the language, with no salary to support myself, and completely alone, because I was now quarantined to my apartment. So I have one room that I walk around in, and that was the isolation again that God was able to use to get my attention, because He knows I get distracted by life. And so once again, He's been using this time of quarantine to draw me into His presence and to understand what it means to completely trust in Him, to depend upon Him. Each day I wake up and I am excited and expectant about what God is going to do today, because He can do anything in this day. I have no idea what God is going to do today, but I trust in Him. I trust His perfect plan for my life. I trust that if I turn my will over to His, and if I continually say, not my will, but yours be done today, then I may not like all of the lessons of today, but I know that I can trust in God's plan for my life for today. So I want to encourage anyone out there that God has a plan for your life too. And if you will completely put your trust in Him, He will work it out to your benefit, and you can trust Him in all things. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more testimonies or inspirational videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or go to kelseymullen.com.